So if you stuck around long enough to the end of the video, I'm going to share some bonus ones with you that the examiner might say. So one of my learners failed a test recently because she got a bit confused when the examiner told her to pull over before a car. She was in the heat of the moment, she was thinking, where's before, where's after? So in this video, I'm going to talk you through some of the phrases that you might hear on your driving test and what they mean. So as I'm driving here, if the examiner says to pull over on the left in a safe place, I'm going to first of all choose a place. I'm not just going to start pulling over. I've seen a space behind that car there. So I'll check my mirrors, signal left, and then I'll start pulling over to the left. So you see this one has got no road markings. And I'm going to go past this driveway as well. And this section here has got no road markings. It's a raised curb. I'm not blocking anyone's driveway. I can stop there, then I can secure my car. So there are other times when they want you to pull over somewhere and there's no really a safe place, there's no raised curb. So they might say something like, pull over on the left, and on this occasion you can ignore the driveway. And then when they say that, it means you can block the driveway, and I'll show you what I mean. They'll usually say this in the place where there's not too many good places to pull over, so they just tell you to block the driveway, or that they tell you that you can block the driveway on that occasion. And that's because they're not going to be there for that long. So here they might say pull over on the left. I'm going to check my mirrors, signal left. And I could pull over here if I want to, but because they've said I can ignore any driveways, I can actually just stop here. And this is not going to be an issue on the test because they've told you you can ignore the driveway. It's not a trick. They're not trying to make you fail. They've actually instructed you that you can block the driveway if necessary, which is what I've done now. Another phrase they will say on your driving test is drive on when you're ready, which basically means get the car ready to drive off, and then when it's safe, move on again. So I'll show you what I mean. And by the way, I've spoken to some examiners and a lot of them said you don't need to check over your left shoulder if you're moving over from the left and moving to the right. You can just check a mirror, move this side, check that side, and then if it's safe, you can start moving. And the main thing is that you're checking the right blind spot. So you want to make sure that it's safe. There's no other cars coming from behind you that you're going to slow down, no other road users that you're going to get in the way of. And something that a lot of learners forget as well is on a narrow road, if there are oncoming vehicles, don't go into their path when you're moving off, because that will be dangerous and it's going to be a fail. So something that a lot of learners kind of find difficult is when they hear the words pull over before or pull over after this car. For some reason a lot of learners struggle with this. So if the examiner says to you pull over before that white car over there, they're talking about pulling over before you go past it. So here I'm going to pull over, check my mirrors first, signal left, and before I go past it, see, I'm not going past it, it's before the car, and then I'll stop. If they said after the car, I would have to go past it first and then I'll pull over on the left, and I'll show you what I mean. So if the examiner says pull over on the left after that white car, I'll check my center mirror, signal left, and then I'm going to go past it because they want me to stop after the car, check my mirror again, and then I see a nice spot over here, and then I can stop after the car. If you're unsure what they mean, just ask them and they will tell you. Worst case scenario, you can miss the stop and then they'll get you to pull over somewhere else. On your driving test, you will get a show me question, and the examiner will say something like, when it's safe, can you show me how you would demist the front windscreen, for instance? The key wording there is when it's safe. So don't do it when you're doing something complicated or there's a lot going on or there's a lot of steering involved. Wait until you get a nice straight bit of road where there's not too much going on. So like here, yeah, I can see there's not too much going on. There's a car there, so I'm not going to do it now because there's a car in there. I need to deal with them first properly. So I'm not going to be trying to figure out what to do when there's a car coming towards me with minimal space. So instead I'll wait until I get more space like now, then I'll answer the question. Another phrase that an examiner might use is at the end of the road, turn left. So people get confused because they think, end of the road, and then they'll start trying to turn here. This is not the end of the road. The end of the road is when you can't go any further. And then you can't go any further, and then you can turn whichever way. And then, which leads me to another phrase, which is do what you think is best. So if you get to this position here, this junction, you can see the sign clearly says turn left. On the floor said turn left as well. And some learners will say, which way should I go? Should I go left or right? And then the examiner will say, do what you think is best. Which means basically, the hope that you're going to turn left, they're leaving up to you because there's signs there, it's clearly telling you what to do. They're not giving you an instruction to turn left or right. They're hoping that you'd read the signs and you go the correct way. And if you don't go the correct way, that's going to be a serious fault and you fail for that. So sometimes roads can be quite close together. And to make it easier for you, the examiner will tell you something like, take the second road on the left. This way, they're not going to wait until you go past the first road to give you the instruction, because there'll be no time then. So instead, they'll tell you before that I need to take the second left. I'll show you what I mean. So like here, for instance, if they say, take the second road on the left, so the first one is there, second one is just straight after it. So we'll check our mirrors, we'll already start slowing down, then we'll signal as you're going past the first one, because if you signal before, it's going to give the impression that we're going to be turning on the first one, but we wanted to turn in this one. So what they will do is tell you, take the second left, which means signal after the first left. On some junctions where it's a bit tricky, the examiner might recommend something. So I'll give you an example, like the roundabout's coming up to double roundabout, and we're going to go left and then right. The examiner might say, at the next roundabout we're going to go left and then right. I recommend that you stick to the right hand side as we approach the first roundabout. So I'll show you what I mean. So even though we're going left at the first roundabout, I'm going to stick to the right, just like the examiner recommended, because it will make more sense once we get to the roundabout. So instead of going to the left side, I'm going to stick to the right hand side, and then once I get a chance to go, I'm going to be going left, and I'll go straight to my lane for turning right, which is why they recommended that I stick to the right hand side as I approach the first roundabout, which made it a lot easier. So I could have used the left lane as well, but it was just a recommendation. You don't have to follow it, but it makes it a lot easier to do the next roundabout. So on some roads that are like 20 miles an hour or even 30 miles an hour, if you're going a little bit over, the examiner might lean over and say something like, just a reminder, this is a 20-mile-an-hour road. You know, that way you can reduce your speed back down to 20 again, and hopefully you're not going to get a serious fault. If you continuously do it all over the place, then you're going to get a serious fault. But if you do it maybe once or twice, depending on how bad it is, they might let you off. So if you're stuck around long enough to the end of the video, I'm going to share some bonus ones with you that the examiner might say. One of them is, where have you come from today? So this is something that's usually like an icebreaker when you're doing your tests, so the examiner can just start a conversation with you, or maybe even when you're about to finish. Some people think when they hear them start talking, it means they've either failed, or they'll think it's like a sign they've passed. It's not a sign really, it's just them talking to you. And another one of their favorites that I always hear is, well, what would you be doing at this time? You know, just for them to find out what kind of work you do and all that kind of stuff. So what I would say on that one is, when you're having a conversation with the examiners, don't get too deep into it. Remember what you're there to do. You're there to pass it. You're there to pass a test. You're not trying to impress them by chatting to them and making them, know who you are. Just concentrate on what you're doing, because some people get too engrossed in the conversation and start forgetting that they're on a driving test and start making silly mistakes. Just remember the whole time what you're there to do, and try your best to not make any mistakes. So I hope you found those useful, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe for more like this, and if you've got any suggestions for any other videos, make sure you let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.